number two, based on again, I'm not Mel Kiper, but they talk about Caleb Williams going first. Obviously, he'll be going to the Bears. The
Yeah.
Commanders are number two,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking you number two. Period. Look
Yeah.
at look at the supporting cast that you have in DC.
They got some dogs over there.
John, what? Jahan Dotson, McLaren,
McCory.
McLaurin, man, listen, boy, you're gonna be in heaven. You gonna be in heaven. And I think it's so imperative that you go to the right situation so you have your receiving core. Once you got a receiving core and they're able to build around you and you can just be you,
Yeah.
man. But it's going. I'm not saying it's gonna be a breeze, but I just know I know the work you put in because it shows up on film. So the transition from college to the NFL is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Sure.
All right, y'all heard my boy Jayden Daniels. He was on the nightcap with Ocho Cinco and and Shannon Sharp. And it was discussing a lot of other things prior because part of that segment was they was talking about him going to the Raiders, what it would be like because Antonio Pierce had coached him at Arizona State. But we all know there was so much hoopla and noise for the last week about him and all the other guys at Top Golf, with Drake May, Michael Penix, JJ McCartney, and there was a big stink about that. But apparently, Mike Florio started talking trash about the Commanders about, oh, why would he want to go there? We haven't done anything in 30 some years. But, I really don't care about Mike Florio. I really don't like him. I mean, I do like um the Sims dude. I like him. But Mike Foley, I could care less with. It's just that he doesn't really put stories together. He just talk noise or talk just like the sports junkies. They just talk. They don't really try to. Their job is just to badmouth the franchise because the franchise haven't done well. But at the end of the day, they don't have to. They don't have to be a fan of the Commanders. But Jayden, like he said, the Commander got some dogs, and I'm sure he's going to want to play there. And the draft is only a couple of days, and you got to think about this. It's all noise. Everybody's going to say something. For weeks and weeks, Jayden Daniels was locked. He was a lock. And now all of a sudden, the betting comes into place. You heard what LeVar Arrington and Brady Quinn them had to say on Two Pros and Cup and Joe's. And it was like, your luxury is to go to the team. It's not like college where you could transfer out and pick a team who you want to go to. It's who you going to. Now, do I believe Jayden Daniels don't want to come to the Commanders? No, I don't believe that for one bit. I think, like I said, I think it's all noise. And when Thursday come, we'll see. I think it's all noise. I think it's just a bunch of talk, a bunch of rhetoric that just to get, because you got to think, this is the down season. Nobody has anything to talk about. Nobody has anything to do. There's no headlines. In the next few weeks, it's going to be so much headlines, stories, and everything to be going out there. Then people have something to talk about. But nobody don't really have nothing to talk about. So you create all these stories, you write all of these narratives. The Commanders is not looking to trade back, so that kills anything the Raiders trying to do. Now, if the Commanders was to go and take Drake May, which I don't think they're going to take him, or take JJ McCartney, I heard that they like him. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I feel like JJ McCartney or Jayden Daniels, but like um oh my gosh, the dude on NFL Live, I can't Solosky, Dan Orlovsky, he said that Washington would be dumb if they do not um draft Jayden Daniels. And I agree. If you pass on Jayden Daniels, then you're not looking to move this franchise in the right directions because Drake May has to be developed. Yeah, you could start him, but at the same time, at the end of the day, at what cost? You know what I'm saying? What cost you gonna start him? You know, if he's not ready, especially if Kingsbury puts so much emphasis on that offense for him to run and he doesn't grasp it, because you could have another situation where like Sam Howell was with Eric Bieniemy, and you don't want that because Drake May does have a lot of potential, but he has to be developed. You got a guy like Jayden Daniels that could come in and hit the ground running. If you listen to the nightcap with him, he already said that what separate him from all of these other guys is that his legs. You know, because he, like he said, he could take it 80 when the time comes. He could take it 80. So therefore, but at the same time, he wants to have great guys around him. And I think the Commanders are going to build around him. We don't know what the Commanders going to do in the draft, you know what I'm saying, because they still got second round picks and they still can move up to get a great offensive lineman. They could grab another receiver in the draft. There's so many different things that they could do. They could get try to get a tight end, a nice tight end. So why create all of this stuff? It's all talk right now. But I'm gonna let you listen to what RG3 had to say with NFL Network. Oh gosh, my memory is shot right about now. The dude for I can't remember. Anyway, the dude for NFL Network.
Caleb's going to be a Bear. The Bears are going to take him, and he is not gaming the draft to try and change that. That said, my phone was blowing up all weekend long, Robert, that Jayden Daniels might be doing exactly that with the Washington Commanders because of a whole host of things about he's got a history with Antonio Pierce, or he might be more comfortable with Minnesota, and then whatever the prospect palooza that Washington had with 22 prospects last week kind of turned him off. Again, none of that's coming from him. That's all rumor and conjecture that I place in front of you, since you were a Heisman Trophy winning second overall selection of this franchise, albeit completely different management. So I ask you, what do you think of when you hear this conversations involving Jayden Daniels, Robert?
Yeah, Rich, I really believe what you just mentioned about me being the second pick and a different organization. I think that there's a little bit of a trickle-down effect that's impacting some of the decisions that Adam Peters and Josh Harris and Dan Quinn are making. When I heard about the 22 prospects going in there, I immediately thought back to where did Adam Peters come from? He came from San Francisco. What did San Francisco just deal with just 2 years ago? They had a highly drafted quarterback in the first round, and they had the last pick in the draft that they picked with Brock Purdy. Now, Trey Lance, in all fairness to him, he didn't get a chance to play because he was hurt a bunch, right? And didn't even really get a chance to show that he could be that guy. But Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. He was a guy's guy. The whole team gravitated towards him. And I feel like Adam Peters was just trying to get a sense, which one of these quarterbacks do the guys gravitate towards? Because outside of Caleb Williams, all these guys are really, really similar and really close in their ability. If I lined them all up, they could all throw a 10-yard out on the money, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But which one of them is going to accept the challenge and be the alpha of the alphas in the room? And I think that's what they were trying to find. And I think because there's been so much negativity towards the Washington franchise, everyone kind of looks at them with a side eye, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? But what I would say is that the highlights are on the film, Rich, but the character isn't. And the organization in Washington is just trying to find the right character guys to build a team around. And I actually applaud them for that, because character has not been something that the team has really been associated with for the past 20 years. So I want fans to understand, if you create a negative environment for a guy like Jayden Daniels coming in, it's only going to breed more negativity once he's drafted. I hope they just give these guys a clean slate. Whoever Washington decides to take is their decision. It's who they believe in. I want that for them, right? The situation with me and Kirk Cousins in Washington in 2012 was a situation where the owner and the head coach were fighting against each other. You don't want that to be repeated. So whoever they believe in, go draft that guy. Let the other guys go to the teams that absolutely want them, and I think everything will be clear sailing. I just believe, Rich, that Jayden is the best guy for them.
He is. You think so? Well, and interesting also what you read and you hear, and again, thus conjecture. I'll place it before you because we always talk straight up. There's an injury concern because he takes hits, because he runs the ball, and a lot of the residual thoughts are involving you and what happened with you. And how that, I know you're talking about echoes of Adam Peters in San Francisco because he took Lance high up, but he's used a quarterback taken last in the draft. There's a lot of conversation that what happened with you is having a residual effect, even though most of those people are gone. How do you respond when you hear that?
Yeah, and Rich, I love the fact that you asked me that question because I do feel like a lot of people are afraid to ask that. Like, I'm a big boy. I went through my whole NFL experience, and a lot of people have been kind of echoing that they're afraid of Jayden Daniels because he reminds them of me. And what I would say is I think Jayden Daniels is better than I was coming out of college, just for point blank period. And I also believe that all of the quarterbacks in this draft class, they're all athletic guys. Like, the new prototypical NFL quarterback is what you see. It's Jayden Daniels. It's Drake May. It's J.J. McCarthy. It's Caleb Williams. These guys are all athletic. They all extend plays. They all have put themselves in harm's way at times to make a play for their team. So don't use what happened to me against Jayden Daniels. I know Washington fans would love to have a 2012 year. They would love to bring that back. So just enjoy what you have in front of you. All of these guys are going to be at risk. The quarterback position is not like the safest position in the world. No matter how many rules the NFL tries to implement, guys still get hurt, right? Joe Burrow has been hurt a bunch, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So just focus on what these guys can do. Don't worry about what happened in the past. Don't worry about repeating mistakes, because the only similarity between me and Jayden Daniels that's not a similarity between myself and the other guys is the fact that he's black. Like, come on. Him and Drake May are essentially the same quarterback. Jayden's more experienced, and he's a better player right now. Take him. He helps you win today. 5 years from now, whenever, 10 years from now, he is the best quarterback for the Commanders if Caleb Williams is not there.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel.
You heard it. And a lot of people might not like RG3. A lot of people got a lot of stuff, built towards RG3. But at the end of the day, he has a point. You can't, if you're going to draft, to me, and I said this a lot of times, and I'm going to always stick by it, I think Jayden Daniels is the best quarterback in there in this draft. I watched him play. I watched Caleb play. I watched Drake May play. I watched J.J. McCartney play. And I watched Michael Penix play. Jayden Daniels, to me, is the best. He's to me, he's a magnet. He's gravitating. You see how, like, when you watch him on the nightcap, how calm, cool, collected he is. Yeah, I watch Caleb Williams. It's just something about his attitude kills me. Not saying the boy can't play. I'm not saying the dude can't play ball, but it's just something about that egotistic attitude that bothers me. And even if, to me, I feel like if Spencer Rattler didn't transfer out and he didn't lost his starting job after 6 games, we probably would not hear from Caleb Williams. And that's just to be truthful, guys. We could say what we want about his talent and all of this stuff, but who the hell knows what we would have seen if Spencer Rattler had played that whole year. Because Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma that after that season because they got smacked. But what if Lincoln had stayed and Spencer had left? Yeah, you probably would have then see Caleb Williams that following year at Oklahoma. But it's what it is. To me, Jayden Daniels not traded, but transferred from Arizona State. Did the same thing Joe Burrow did. Joe Burrow left Ohio State. Got down there at LSU. Won a national championship. Hell, Jayden Daniels was on the trajectory to do the same thing. It's the same thing. Their defense wasn't really that good enough. But what if he had did that? What if Jayden Daniels had won the national championship and the Heisman Trophy this past season? He would have been the number 1 pick easily. But there would be no question that Jayden Daniels should have been the number 1 pick. Just like Caleb Williams said that on the pivot that he felt he was the best quarterback in the country. Well, we could go back that year and look and see how many quarterbacks was good that year. In that year he was at Oklahoma. And he felt like he was better than Spencer Rattler. Which I agree he was better than Spencer Rattler, but Spencer Rattler was projected to be a number 1 pick that year. Spencer Rattler shot himself in the foot. He could have went out on top. But anyway, my point is Jayden Daniels is the right person for the Commanders. No Drake May, no J.J. McCartney, no Michael Penix, no Bo Nix, none of that. To me, he's the best quarterback in the draft. He's the best quarterback for the Commanders, and I think the Commanders are more than likely. And the thing about it is, teams have done this in the past of bringing more than enough to these visits. So there's nothing that you could say, oh well, these guys, felt some kind of way. Now this morning I was listening to Get Up, and they had a very interesting take about this. So I'm gonna let y'all the guys listen to it.
Coach, some of the way I feel when I see Dan Orlovsky pop up on the screen and Mike Tannenbaum and Dan Graziano here as we sneak in some football during this really busy basketball morning. Graziano, I'll start with you, my insider extraordinaire. Clearly, he would like to play for the Raiders. Is there a realistic path to that happening? No, well, not if Washington is going to take him, right? Like that's the thing. If Washington wants to take him, then they'll take him. Washington's made it clear they don't want to trade out of the 2 pick. Now, if Washington were to take Drake May or J.J. McCarthy, which, we don't know for sure, it feels like that would be a surprise, then all of a sudden the Raiders have to get to 3, where the Patriots seem a little more interested in at least fielding calls. So could they outbid the Vikings to get to that spot? Could they outbid the Giants to get to that spot? They're not in the best shape in terms of what they have to offer, but they probably make an effort. And my goodness, if he were to slip to 4 in Arizona somehow, then I think the Raiders would be very, very aggressive in trying to get up there.
Again, guys, it's just a simple fact. Jayden Daniels is going to Washington. Jayden Daniels is not going nowhere else. Now, I don't know what's in his heart. And I'm sure he probably will want it to go. Everybody wants to go. Caleb Williams probably wanted to come to Washington. But he can't. Because Chicago's picking first. Unless Chicago say, hey, let's do a swap. I'll take Jayden Daniels, you take Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a unique guy. Do I like some of the stuff he does? Nah. But I can't knock the dude's talent, his football, the way he played football. Now, sure, his game is going to change. He's not going to be doing all that reckless BS what he did at USC. But you got a guy in Jayden Daniels that you could plug into Kingsbury offense, and he could rip it. All you got to do is draft another tight end, another wide receiver, or trade for Brandon Ayuk. If you trade for Brandon Ayuk and bring him to Washington, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit for this guy. This offense will be so potent that there ain't nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop it. So I'm saying this to say that is that all this excess noise don't really mean jack to me. It doesn't really mean nothing to me because at the end of the day, I've been loving Jayden Daniels. I'm gonna continue to love Jayden Daniels. You know, I'm riding with Jayden Daniels all the way to the draft. And once we pick number 2, hey, the cat's already out of the bag because Adam Scheffler said it a few weeks ago. We might as well go ahead and get our Jayden Daniels jersey. But then he tried to clean it up a little bit. It didn't work too much because we already know. So guess what? I'm going to have my JD5. I'm going to have my JD5 hat. And damn sure I'm going to have my Jayden Daniels jersey. So with that being said, the draft is only what? 2 days away. Let's get with it. Anything else? I'm not even concerned about it anymore. So until then, Live Wire Sports Media. See you on Thursday.